Hello everyone, I just want to talk a little bit about my one dagger arena build, because a lot of you have been asking, and I'm gonna be 100% honest, it's not effective or not the best to play one dagger in arenas, because at the end of the day you're using a wand, so you're taking up the slot of the tank or the healer, and your team's not gonna like it, but there's not much you can do. It's the way the game has been designed, and it's the class that you have been building and playing, right? So it is what it is. But I do want to share that I have not been having the best results, as you can see on 613, right? But I also want to say that there's not much more that you can do. Like, it's just the way it is. You gotta play for the ranked reward, you gotta play for the ranked elo rewards, and you gotta play for the arena victory coins, right? So it's part of the game. It is what it is. I also want to say that there's a lot of RNG, as you can see. Like, I can do a lot of damage, 530,000, get the most kills, but then again, you're taking up the healer slot. Like, this guy was doing 500k healing, so you were not healing anyone. So there's this trait, right? You gotta definitely perform to do anything. And even if you perform, you're gonna get very unlucky matches, because that's just how like any game works. For example, this one, this guy did 10k damage, I did 270k. You can see, like, I got the same guy twice, he did 5k damage on the other one, I did 27k again. So there's a lot of RNG arenas. Do be aware of that as well. With that said, you're definitely taking a spot of a healer in a Templar or tank, right? So keep that in mind, that it's definitely a lot of pressure to perform. With that said, how do I play arena? I'm gonna be very directly. You're gonna have two types of single type bursts, one for melee and one for magic, and the only thing you gotta do is check what evasion the enemy have. For example, this is the first enemy, you dot. The dot hit, this guy probably doesn't have magic evasion, so what you're gonna do, you just burst the guy with your magic evasion combo. Boom, the guy's there, right? So remember, trainee number 1 doesn't have magic evasion, so I'm gonna use magic on trainee number 1. All right, training number 2, let's say you use touch on the guy, he evades, you miss it, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to use your single target build on that guy. Then boom, 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 he's dead, right? So you're gonna remember, target number 1 is magic, target number 2 is melee, and the target number 3 is usually gonna be a healer or a tank. In most cases, you're just gonna need to do your magic combo and should be dead. But you can also try to use both to finish in case the healer is very tanky or just very durable. That's basically it. You just gotta figure out what the enemy have and combo with what he doesn't have. Be aware that some people are starting to play Triple Evasion, which makes really hard to kill the guy. So that's just how the game works. There's not much you can do. You just pray for the RNG that you hit your spells. And that's basically it. Alright. Let's go quickly over my gear, actually. As you can see, you already know that I do mostly glass cannon, so my gear right now is focused only on basically damage. I don't have a lot of hit, I don't have a lot of HP, but in exchange I have a good chunk of mana for the extra damage from the passives, a lot of crit damage, and a lot of base crit with a lot of heavy attack, as you can see. So that's why I'm doing this without any healings. It's basically because I don't have time to heal myself because I die too quickly, and I don't have time to heal my allies because I die too quickly. So what I do in exchange, if I'm gonna die quickly, I'm gonna take the enemy with me and kill the guy as well. That's kind of how you just do it. You trade your life for the other enemy lives. You wanna do like, you wanna try to kill the enemy faster than he kills you, basically. That's the only way out. Alright, so for skills and passives, this is what I use. I don't think you have a lot of wiggle room to change anything. If you want to use the block blade, which is the dagger block, you can instead of the one parry. It's just preference. And if you want to try to use some flash heal or something, you probably can swap something like the prone or the enchanting time for it, but I would not recommend doing that with such a glass cannon build. On the passives, if you are using evasion or endurance with the Shadow Walker, you can probably substitute it for the assassin step or the destructive thing, right? So in case you need to change a passive, I recommend that. For the skill specs, you want Shadow Strike with increased range and bind, so you can be the first to strike. Thundering Bomb, you can use the normal one or the Brutal Incision with poison. Inject poison, you can increase time with the poison if you want. Camouflage, I recommend the CC immunity for those GS players. By the way, you also want to always try to focus healers, then GS players, or and then tanks, because your other DPS is not going to be able to kill that tank, so you are going to be the one that's going to have to explode the tank to give space for your other DPSs to kill the enemy DPSs, or something like that. For Med's Ordnance, you want to take the first one, because otherwise you might start doing your damage and end up in another target, because it's full RNG without this mastery, this specialization. You want to use the Thunderclouds, just because it procs with the Thundering Bomb. And you want to use the extra AoE damage to proc more Thunderclouds, and to do more damage overall. For Ankle Strike, you want to use the offhand, because you're going to use Shadow Strike, Ankle Strike. So you want to proc the offhand on everything else after, which is the Fatal Sigma, Med's Ordnance, and Thundering Bomb, right? And for the Fatal Sigma, you only need the damage, but that's because I'm using Peerless Obsidian. So I don't need the range specs or anything else. I can proc it from really far away already. Right. So for the one, you're gonna want to use the single target one. You don't need to increase it to other targets. You're gonna use the 50% chance to stack 2 touches. The extra damage on the Curse Explosion for the single target, the Decaying Touch with the extra damage, the Enchanting Time, and the Karmic is going to become a time increase. You can also use the additional damage on the Karmic if you want some extra burst. And something really important on the Witching Hour, if you have Time Bomb on the Masteries, right, which is the 780 Mastery, you can for some reason proc Time Bomb with the Karmic Time expansion. So you can do like this. You can see I have 3 Time Bombs here. If I use Witching Hour, for some reason it consumes my Time Bombs. So just keep that in mind. It's kind of a extra damage tech, but not that useful, just an extra tip. For Masteries, I just go the generic Light of Devotion with Eye of Emptiness, Vampiric, Warrior's Gambit, Malicious Intent, and Absolute Burst, the usual, right? And for the daggers, I just go for all the the aggressive 3 build for the damage, and the extra one for the combat velocity, which can give you some attack speed, the strategic exchange, which can make your poison do more damage, and the dexterous power, which increase your crit damage. If you don't have a lot of crit or crit damage, I don't recommend picking this one. I would say go the merciless form or try to pick the ethereal evasion shield, which is also very useful. The reason why you go full aggressive on the dagger build is just because you can do a lot of DPS just from hitting people. So most of the time in arena, you're gonna want to use the weapon, the dagger on your hand, because look at this DPS. I'm doing like so much damage just from auto attacks. Look at that. Pretty crazy. Of course, that's on the dummy proccing other things, but yeah, it does a lot of damage. That's about it. I just wanted to make a quick video because some people have been asking. I want to thank you guys for almost getting almost 1,000 subscribers, because then I can reach monetization. So that's pretty crazy, actually. I didn't expect that to happen doing content. But thank you guys so much. I also want to talk a little bit about the Curse Explosion and the future of the build. At first, I was planning to go all in on the Glass Cannon build, because that's the style that I like, doing big explosions and killing a lot of people. But with the recent changes to Curse Explosion, I decided to go for a normal build with Evasion or Endurance. And the main reason for that is that the biggest charm of playing Glass Cannon was before you would cast the Curse Explosion, right? And you would do instant damage, but less damage. What I mean is, right now you saw I did 50k, right, with the touch and curse. Right now there's a delay before the explosion that does the whole damage, 90k, right? And the person has a whole second that he can parry your whole damage, so that's really frustrating. And the other part that's really frustrating is before the big charm of Glass Cannon, one dagger, was you could go full Glass Cannon and you would do, let's say I did 90k damage, right? So you would do 45k and then you would do 45k again. That means you would do damage twice on the enemy, that means you could roll the hit twice. So for example, instead of rolling for hit once for 90k, I would roll twice for 45k. That means I had two chances to one tap the squishy targets. The people that doesn't have a lot of health would die usually from the first tap, so it would do like 45k and the guy would be dead. I would not do the second 45k. And in case he dodged the first 45k, the second 45k would usually kill the target. So the biggest con or pro of using one dagger of blast cannon was that you could tap people instantly and you had more chances to tap people. You would die a lot faster than any other class, but in exchange you would have a lot of kill pressure and a lot more chances to kill enemies. So right now you have very little chance compared to before, and that's the reason I'm probably not gonna be using this anymore. But yeah, that's about it. I don't want the video to be too long. Thank you for watching and see ya.